in my eye. Hotel, peace, what's happening, world? It's Ahasa. This is Afrosynthesis, and today we're gonna have a bit of a lucid conversation. I've had a few thoughts, a few phrases, right, a few words download into my consciousness that I wanted to kind of unpack with you all this week. So we're gonna start with the early bird gets the worm, right? Like what is that all about? A lot of times it's spoken about in a very literal way, right? Like wake up early and go get to it. The one who wakes up and gets outside and gets moving, right, and gets to it is going to get the most, or at least it's going to, right, they're going to get it first. They're going to get the worm. I don't think that's a very, yeah, I don't think that's very helpful. I think it could be motivating, but I think what the word I'm not looking for is helpful because it is helpful. It doesn't seem full. It doesn't seem like it's been unpacked enough. So this morning I've been up pretty early. We got the sun doing its thing behind me now, but I've been up since about 4 o'clock, and I got all of my altars lit, got down, did some prayer, and during the prayer I thought about the beauty of being able and the magic of being able to wake up and to speak my intention into the universe before the sun rises, and the power, right, the power in that, the power in putting, like I said, your frequencies into the ethers, into the atmosphere, right, and allowing the sun's birth for this day to push those right into being. And so what was resonating with me is that the early bird gets the worm is more a phrase that should be directing us towards prayer, right? The earlier that we wake up, the earlier that we're able to set our intention, right? When the bird is going out and looking for food, looking for the worm, so to speak, what is it doing? It's setting its intention on what it needs, which is to bring this worm home, right? And so if we are setting our intentions early in the morning, then we have a higher likelihood, a greater likelihood, an increased, opportunity for that which we want to be brought back to us. So in that way, we could say ingested, or we can say, right, obtained. So yeah, if the early bird gets the worm, that means that we should be early to prayer, and early to pray, right? What is the bird? What is the worm in the scenario? The worm in the scenario is that which is preyed upon, literally, by the bird who is doing the hunting, or in this case, doing the intention setting. And so, yeah, today, when we're talking about getting our house in order, I think that's one of the first tools that we need to look to, right? It is prayer is a spiritual tool that we have to get our energy in alignment. Prayer is also a tool that we have to, again, bring that which we want into existence by way of communication with the universal all, with Netzer, with God, right? If my car breaks down and then I pray for my car to not break down, right? Like, it's too late. That's a literal thing. We also, prayer comes with the time. We need to speak something into existence and give it time to come into fruition. And if we are asking for something to come into fruition after its time has already passed, you know what I mean? It's wasted energy. And so that's where I wanted to kind of just share on the early bird gets the worm, because we need to go deeper into our subconscious, right? Deeper into our deep well, our eternal blue, and yeah, and swim those waters and take more from these these phrases of ours which should be guiding us, but we often look at as too colloquial or too like commonplace. Um, Speaking of commonplace, something that I want to make clear in my episode last week, we were speaking about getting our home together, accountability. We were speaking about the netret, or the divinity, the feminine divinity of Nebet Het, and we were talking about the conversation that I had at a bookstore or at the Noir bookshop. And that conversation, right? I said it was just a beautiful conversation between black men and women about the issues that we face and so forth and so on, right? I don't want to blah 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 our situation, but what I want to get clear is that, in this current climate and atmosphere where there is an obvious, and we'll talk about it more, but there's an obvious war on men and war on women. Um, More specifically, there is a war on women in general, black women specifically, as well as a war on black men specifically, that I'm looking to talk about and interested in. And why I say that is because when we look at our history as a people, right, our history as a family and lineage, we don't have this historic, deviant, perpetual issue of man and woman relations. That's not in our story. In the areas in which that is in our history, check our neighbors. That's all I'm saying. Because what and I'm saying this to say there are certain aspects, right? Different cultures have different expressions, and therefore by having different expressions, you have different intakes, you have different ways of viewing things. And and right now there's a climate, and that there's an atmosphere of, right, like men and women being at dissonance with each other instead of being each other's complement. We are each other's complement, and as a result of that, we have to work with one another in all aspects of living and existing and being. And so what I want to be clear on is in saying that women's issues and men's issues are women's issues and men's issues. I'm going to say that differently. Women's issues are men's issues, and men's issues are women's issues, because we are a family. We live under the same roof. We are speaking the same language, and we move within the same types of flows and rhythms and times. We also reproduce life with one another. And therefore, if we're not in harmony with each other, knowing one another's problems and how we can support and overcome and create together, then, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we don't get too far. So I wanted to say that because, right, an issue that we are having is we have a lot of men who don't know how to tap into their divine feminine, right? That has to do with poor relationships with women in their lives, poor relationship examples, for visualization and for, right, the ability to imagine further. Likewise, we have a lot of women who are not properly aligned with their divine masculine or tapped into it at all. And that is an issue because that creates, right, either an imbalance in the fact that you don't know how to tap into it, or an imbalance in the fact that you might be too deep into it. And so, right, we have to come back together in our conversations with one another, and with our, right, with our frustrations with one another, and what we look to expect, right, out of one another, because we need to get things back into alignment. Um, what is alignment all about? Kind of lucid, again, more lucid thoughts, right? These are the thoughts when I am seeing myself think, not thinking, but watching myself think. And yeah, like being in alignment means, right, being attuned to things, right? Like we have different versions and aspects of ourselves that we can move and tap into. I think, to be honest, that's why a lot of times I think that's an unspoken reality about the word, excuse me, selfish, right? Like, what does it mean to be selfish? Not necessarily that it's just you taking in everything you want and not really giving. And of course, there's a more broad definition. I'm minimizing that aspect because I don't want to talk about their definition of selfish, but more so what it means to be ish or like kinda yourself, right? And in that sense, right now we can go into the blue. We can get a little deeper. And right, when we think about what it means, we talked about human being. When we think about what it means to be a human being, right, we think of a couple things. We think of being animate, right? So that's like our breath. We're animate. We are also person, right? We have a personality. That's what you are birthed with. So like I take birth to mean born on earth. We are born on earth with a certain personality. That is something, as Hava and I in our podcast Clearly Misunderstood, check us out, spoke about. That's not something that can be changed. In the sense that you can't lose, right, that personality. What you can do is evolve, and in that sense you can tune your person to a different sound. And what I mean by that, right, is person literally means per, through, sound. So our personality is our vibration that we were born on earth with, right? Those frequencies are our natural attunements, right? So now we can go get tuning, right? We can go get attunement actually this week. Well, yeah, last week I got a Reiki attunement. Shout out to Bree. If you guys are looking for some Reiki in the St. Louis area, I'll put her info down below. It was a very, very beautiful attunement. One of the most powerful ones I've had in my life. And I really got to Reiki. For those who don't know, is an energetic healing practice where a practitioner, a Reiki master, or a Reiki practitioner. Not all Reiki practitioners, right, or Reiki masters, right? There's a hierarchy and a working into things. But a Reiki practitioner, they're using your energy as well as their own and kind of tapping into, I would say, your energy field and helping you see and move and heal your chakras, learn about different blockages and such through energetic healing, and then a conversation thereafter where you see the different ways that your energy field is speaking to them and they were speaking to you through their as such, right, with different intentions that you might have set. And that's like one way that we can, right, tune ourselves and our personalities to tap in and to learn a little more, to get some more information from ourselves about ourselves, right? Wearing jewelry, right, like copper, gold, silver, bronze. These things tune our bodies and change frequencies, right? Having your phone in your pocket does do something to your vibrations and your frequency because this one has one of its own. So it does have to alter or affect or in some way assimilate with yours. So yeah, we're a person. We are, right, we've already talked about being a human being, like I said, so we're earthly, we are animate, we have breath. We're also like Homo sapiens sapiens, meaning that we're not just thoughtful or aware or intelligent, but we are aware of our intelligence. So in that way, we have that metacognition. That gives us a duality, right? We are indivisibly dual. We're an individual as well. If you look at the etymology of individual, you definitely you get words like inseparable, words like You know what I mean? Not opposite of for that end part, and then divisible, right? The division. We are indivisibly dual, two things at once. We are spirit and matter, right? We are, right? They say we are of heaven and hell. We are of the low and the high. Right? When you look at, we talked about it, when you look at the smallest part of an atom is a subatomic particle. The smallest aspect of a subatomic particle is a photon, and a photon is a packet of light, energy, and information. So we are, like we said, light beings. We are indivisibly spirit and matter. The lowest aspect of spirit is matter. The highest aspect of matter is spirit, which is why, if you actually look at things, nucleus clouds don't really touch. So we're not actually physically touching, but right, this is all about the illusion for the experience. And so kind of, yeah, going back to some things, right? The early bird gets the worm, because if the earlier you wake up and pray and set your intention, right, the better you are going to be, the more equipped your equipment, right, your excuse me, I hate saying, the more equipped your equipment, the more, right, the more prepared your physical and spiritual apparatus is gonna be for work, right? You need to wake up and tune yourself to your higher frequency so that you can then move throughout the day using your person to project those energies, those thoughts, those intentions, those praise into the universe. That way the sun can shine on them and therefore bring back that which you asked for. You know what I mean? That's magic. That's science, and that's what we got for today. So as always, thank you for listening in. I am Ahasa. This is Afrosynthesis. I'll see you next week. So it is, and so shall it be.